curiosity of whoever's receiving it, what questions they're asking, whatever. So I've had the strangest sex talks with my family. I had like this weird sex talk with my mama. I had an even more weird sex talk with my brother. Never had a sex talk or any talk with my daddy. Like, not about anything serious. And the one person that kept it real with me was my sister, my big sis. So I'll start with the weird sex talk with my mom. And I'll give you some background on her. So my mom's family grew up Pentecostal, very religious bunch. And I don't know how much you know about Pentecostals, but they don't believe in birth control. As my grandmother had 16 children. So the dynamics of sex was interesting due to this religious background. But my thing has always been, we should really talk about this because obviously someone's having sex. Like, you're not just having sex to procreate. So, are you? Like, I don't know, but it's being done. That's all I know because all these people are here, so it's being done. But that's the dynamics of my mom's background. So talking to her about sex was like not forbidden, but it just seemed very forbidden. So her sex talk started like this. You know about the birds and bees, right? What? Like, she set me down and it was the strangest thing. I didn't know what was going on. I didn't know what this talk was going to be about. And that's how you start. You know about the birds and bees, right? Me being who I am, I'm like, no. Because I don't know how to answer this question. I don't want to say yes because then you're going to be like, how do you know about the birds and bees? What you know? No, I don't know about the birds and the bees. What should I know? What do I need to know? And then after her asking me if I knew about it and me saying no, she went directly to abstinence is best. If you're not having sex, then you don't have to worry about anything. And I'm like, what? No, how does this help me? And it got worse, y'all. It got worse and awkward. So she goes into this whole abstinence rant. And then it turns into, you need to make a promise before God that you won't have sex before you're married. And I'm going to get you a promise ring. So at this point, I'm just shocked. Like, I'm saying nothing. Which, for me to say nothing is like, wow. But I'm just like, what? What kind of talk is this? What? I'm not learning anything. I don't understand anything any better. So I like pumped the brakes on this whole promise ring thing. I was like, whoa, wait. Like, as if I'm not weird enough as a person on my own. You want to mark me with a promise ring? Like, that was my idea behind this. I was like, no, I don't need to make a promise and get a promise ring. I know how I can be, I can practice abstinence. I don't need to do all of that. And so that was literally the conversation. And it was like, okay, well, your behind better not be out here doing anything you don't need to be doing. And it was just like all this negativity behind it. And I was like, oh, man, can this be over? And honestly, I feel awkward talking about it, like talking about this part of it, because it was just so strange. And I didn't understand, and I didn't want to talk about it anymore. And so that was the first weird sex talk, right? Then came the weird sex talk with my brother. It was just, why can't this be normal, I guess? So this talk, now, when my mom first set me down to talk about this, I'm sure I was either going to ninth grade or already in ninth grade. And then the weird sex talk with my brother came when I was in 12th grade. Yeah, sure of that one. I know it was 12th grade. But of course, I've had sex ed, throughout school, which sex ed started in middle school. So they were like a little bit behind the game. Anyways, but my senior year, had a little boyfriend or whatever. And that's how the topic started with my brother. That's how the conversation started. And, it's, everyone knows, I have a little boyfriend. We hanging out a little bit more. And this was like my first actual relationship. Like, it wasn't just schoolhouse love. We actually did things outside of school. So, my family, picked up on this and understood this and was aware of this. And so just randomly one day, riding in the car, my brother, we just had a good time. We were just joking and tripping and singing some old school throwback song. I can't even think of what the song was now. I just remember laughing and, playing around. And then all of a sudden, it's like out of left field, where did this come from? And all of a sudden, he just asked me, "Are you having sex?" And I was like, excuse me, what? And I just chuckled and I was laughing. And he was all, "Don't laugh, it's not funny. That's a serious question. That's a valid question." I was like, "No, I'm not." And he was like, "Good, you better not be." And then that was it. Like that was the conversation. And I was like, what just happened? What was that? Where did that come from? And then we didn't say anything the rest of the car ride, which was like 5 to 10 minutes. And I was just like, why was this so awkward? Like, it got real awkward really quick. And I was just ready for it to be over. So that was that weird talk. And then, like I said, I had no talk with my daddy ever. Ever. Never. Until this day. Like, no serious talk about any of those topics that you would receive. It just wasn't a thing. It didn't happen. And from my daddy, I think I'm okay with that. Because who knows? Who knows what that would have entailed? So I'm good without that one. Now, the one person that kept it real and gave me the nitty gritty initially, which it kind of opened up my mind and gave me a new perspective, because at this point, my idea about sex was negative. Like, I did not know there was any good from having sex, because in my mind, you either get an STD, get pregnant, or, something really bad happening. So I had no real positive thoughts surrounding sex, and I was scary. I was scared then anyway. So I was not about that life. I was not trying to test the waters and do anything with anyone. So, but that shouldn't be, like, that should not be. I think people should abstain from sex because they want to. I think people should not want to have sex because they're not ready. I don't think people should not have sex because they've been coerced or scared into not doing it. That's not healthy. It's not healthy. Not healthy at all. So my sister talked to me about sex, and she was like, look and listen. Listen and look. Don't worry about what people are saying about sex, especially your peers, because half of them are probably not doing the things they say they're doing. And she told me I was too young anyways, but she just put it to me this way. She said, having sex is good. Sex is good. Sex can be great. So in my mind, I'm like my mind is blown right now. Like, what? Sex can be good? What? That's not what I heard. So she goes on and she was like, and also, getting pregnant is not the worst thing that can happen. Again, mind blown. I'm like, what? Like, oh my gosh, she throwing some new stuff on me that I never really heard. And so she elaborated. She was like, sex is not all bad. And now you have to remember where I'm at this point in my thought process behind sex. It was negative. And okay, I'll give you the other side that I was thinking. It seems so silly. I want to feel really silly for saying this. I really am. But just to provide you perspective and insight on where I was at, I thought sex was just for the man in the equation. Like, I didn't understand the pleasure side of sex. So when she's telling me these things, that's why my mind is blown. And so I'm just like, okay, whoa, this is a new concept. Sex can be good. Okay, do tell. So this really sparked my curiosity about it because this is a new idea. And she was like, yeah, but for as good as it can be bad. And she told me why she said getting pregnant is not the worst thing. She was coming from more of a female standpoint on it. And as females, we are emotional. We get emotionally attached. And so she just gave me some scenarios of herself and just really connected those dots for me. And she was just saying how if you get connected to the wrong person, it can be way worse. You can have bad experiences. And so she really drove the point to me that I need to be aware of myself, take care of myself, like love myself and know me before I get physically involved with anyone else. And then she also went to tell me that I shouldn't be having sex. I need to abstain, but know these things about it. But she didn't tell me, she didn't even use the word abstain. It didn't feel forced or like she was making the decision for me. It felt like, okay, I'm giving you this information and my perspective on it, the good, the bad, and this is what I think you should do, but ultimately the decision is yours. And that made me feel so much better. Like, I was like, okay, I get that. I understand that, and that makes sense to me because I don't want to be attached to the wrong person and all these different things. So that made way more sense than these other little weird, awkward conversations that I had. And so it did make me more curious now. It made me more curious because I didn't know what she was meaning fully. I didn't comprehend, the pleasure side of it. And it just brought new ideas for me. Now, even having had this talk, even gone through sex ed, I was still oblivious and naive to the details of sex, of like how to have sex, how to practice safe sex, the different things that were available, like methods, birth control, things like that. I was still oblivious to a lot of lingo, just a lot of things. So even when my peers would talk about things, I just kind of sat back like, listening, and in the back of my mind taking notes to ask someone, okay, what does this mean? What is that word? Etc. So, yeah, I don't think it's healthy to be that oblivious to it. It wasn't until really I got to college that I understood more in depth and more in detail. And so the way I ended up viewing it, like, I wish it was not such a taboo topic, because the thing about it is, what you don't teach someone as a parent, you better bet your bottom dollar that someone else will. Now, how accurate it is, what they do with it or how they teach it or whatever, you don't know. You just hope that your child has enough know-how, enough sense, and ask questions or, will come to you. But I wish the topic wasn't so taboo, because I wanted to talk about it and be more open about it with my parents, but I just didn't have that set up exactly, and I didn't feel comfortable with talking about it. I didn't really open up and feel comfortable talking about sex at all until I was grown. Like, but why? Like, that's what I don't understand. Like, it's a part of life. It creates life, as a matter of fact. So why can't we talk about this? Like, you can't avoid it your whole life, or maybe you can. I can't. I'm not speaking for the masses. I'm speaking for me here. But it's like you can't avoid it. Even if you try, you really can't avoid it, because you're going through changes as an adolescent, and you don't understand why you're feeling what you're feeling. I can give you so much detail on my mindset at that time, like, especially going through changes. I thought only men got horny. Like, so what that tells me is then I didn't even understand the changes and feelings and things that I was going through, because how absolutely untrue is that? Lord knows how untrue that is. But that was my idea and mindset behind this stuff, y'all. Like, That is not good. And so